Hello, welcome to the video. Today I want to talk about replacement SID chips, and specifically the SIDKick. I don't know if we can focus on that there. These are some, this is a hobby product that you can build yourselves, and you can get the boards made at, well, any general manufacturing place. Most YouTubers seem to have PCBWay as their sponsor, and I've used them many times. They work well enough. The boards come through quickly and they're high quality. These particular ones come from PCBWay. I've used JLC PCB as well. They're pretty good. Yeah, anyway, they're not sponsoring this, so yeah, that's enough of that. So you get these boards in, and they look a bit complicated. They're really not. I mean, if you can build and you can fire up a soldering iron, then these will present no problem at all to assemble. There's only a couple of small chips and service mount components on, and this is it. It's an adapter is all this is. It's an adapter between your SID socket and a Teensy 4.1, as you can see here. I don't know if that's a bit tight in there. They come in two different types. They look identical there, but they're not. Underneath you can see the boards are in different places, the pins are in different places. The reason for that is the two different types of boards, whether it's a long board or a short board. But if you had a riser, you could plug each into any board. So functionally they're identical. It's just how they fit into the board. It also fits into a C128. I had a few problems with that, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah, so all you do is you get your Teensy 4.1 and you blast the firmware in, and it can do some funky stuff. It can act like a SID chip. So you've got your board here, and each one of these boards has got different output options depending on what you populate. You can have true stereo out. I've populated this to the max, so I've got the best option here because I've put a DAC chip on it, so I've got the nicest quality coming out. But you can go straight out mono through the board, or you can come out stereo as a DAC. As you can see at the top, you've got 3 pins you can tap off, and there's some other pins here as well, and you can do some funky stuff with that as well. You can hook up different data lines and emulate more than one SID. So you can actually have 2 SIDs plus a sound expander, which is a FM synthesis module. It's got a built-in tool that allows you to configure it, and it's all done really nicely. But its entire reason for being in existence is to erase a SID chip. Now through these pins you can also connect up an LED strip. I'm not sure what fucking use that is. I mean, who the fuck wants a disco when they're trying to play a 64 game? Well, somebody apparently. But anyway, yeah, you can hook up an LED strip to do funky light patterns. You can also hook up a MIDI module, and these things can also emulate some of the 64 standard MIDI. So with a breakout board you can have true MIDI ports on it, and that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. I mean, I've got a cartridge with MIDI on it, so for me that's not really a big priority, but yeah, it's easy enough to build. You can make a breakout board. They're pretty good. Once you've got the DAC on there, you've got good sound quality. The only real issue here is once you whack a Teensy on there with headers, look how deep it is. I don't know if we can see that there. Let me just get that. Yeah, look at that. So it's fairly deep. With a 64 bread bin that may not be a problem, but once you get into a flat 128 then you're a little bit tight on space, and I'd be a little bit hesitant on soldering a Teensy directly to the fucking SIDKick board. But yeah, you're going to have to do something like that if you wanted to go down this route. The other option, well, the other thing to talk about really is the cost. A Teensy 4.1 isn't that cheap, so it depends how you look at this, I suppose. If you're going for a Swin SID Ultimate or something like that, then yeah, it's not too bad. But if you're going for an ARM SID or an ARM2 SID, and an ARM2 SID's got pretty much the same feature set as this, minus the MIDI and shit, and the disco lights, the ARM2 SID sounds brilliant. I mean, I use them myself. I've got a couple of them. I've got the ARM SID and ARM2 SID, and I give them a big thumbs up. They're superb. But this, as we're going to find out, is just as good. I can't tell the sound difference. I'm going to record some bits, and I'm going to put them into the video so you can have a listen yourself. But it's fantastic, the sound quality. But so is the ARM SID, and I should imagine the Swin SID Ultimate is as well. I don't have one of those personally, but yeah, this is based on C code running, so it actually uses the ReSID engine, and we all know how good that is. So yeah, it's going to sound like a SID and not like a regular Swin SID that sounds like a fart in a fucking tub. But yeah, so we're going to fire this up, and we're going to have a look. One thing to note before we do that is these have a configuration menu that you can get into with an SIS number, and with that you can configure the parameters of it. It's all built in. It uses a PRG injection method to inject it into memory, and it's really nicely done. But you'll notice there's an SD card on here, and I did speak to developers a while back, and I did say, you know, could we have the ability to read from the SD card, stick a load of PRG files on there and inject them into memory. You see, there's 10 slots built into the memory here that you can inject programs into the firmware to have them permanently available from your SID chip. So you just type this SYS number in, and bang, you've got a menu, and you can choose one of the 10 PRGs that's always available without plugging any cartridges in, any other shit. It's there. But you know, the guy come back to me, Frenetic is the guy that it's Frenetic and Emulator, I believe. Murder that name. They're both on Form 64DE, and the guy Frenetic come back to me and said, no, we're not doing that because you know, that's not within the scope of what we really want it for. If you want to play games off an SD card, plug in something else, you know, some cartridge or something. And we'll come to that in another video. But yeah, so they've designed this just as a SID replacement, and it's damn good. These are 0.3 revision PCBs. However, they're up to 0.4. There's not a lot of difference functionally. They both work exactly the same, so I can flash the newest firmware on here and it'll work. And yeah, that's all there is to say about that, really. Let's fire this fucker up and see what happens. Okay, so here we are. We've got the SIDKick installed in the Junker. We can see it's fairly fucking high. So let's power this up to basic. Right. You can see I've got a different VIC chip in here. A nice guy Steve sent me this. It's got some character problems, so any weird shit that goes on the screen is to be expected because the VIC's a little bit dicky. So let's have a look at the menu. There we go. SYS 54333 brings us to a really nice menu. We can see that we can set up how we want it in the machine. Now right now it's set up as an 8580 with DigiBoost. Let's have a look. Toggle page, that's not what we want. Oh, there we go. Right, so if we right, I fucked that one up. Let's press F8 on that. There we go. Right, basic config. So let's change that to 6581. We're gonna save that. Okay, let's have a look at the next page. What we got on here? Oh, so you can set up different LED modes, the MIDI interface, the sound expander, pretty normal stuff. You've got a file menu as well, if you press F7, but you can see that that's all empty in memory. But normally if these were populated, you'd be able to run these straight off your SID chip, and it would inject it directly into RAM, and that's brilliant. I've actually tried that. It works really well. But like I said, to me, they missed a trick by not running it from the SD card. But I asked the question, what can you do? Right, okay, so there it is. Let's whack in a Kung Fu Flash. And we can see what it sounds like. So I'm booting straight up to a game called Parallax, which probably isn't the best. Yeah, let's I'll tell you what we'll do. Yeah. Yeah, now what I'm going to do, let's turn that down a little bit. What I'm going to do is, I'm running this through a Retro tank, so I'm going to hook up the HDMI back to the PC, and I'm going to do several recordings of game tunes with the SID and with the SIDKick. And yeah, I can't tell the bloody difference. The only real issue here is, I think, is probably the cost of the teensy. But yeah, as far as it goes, it sounds really good, and it can detect whether you're in a 128 or not. Although I kept getting these weird sound artifacts with pops, and I played around with it for hours, but I couldn't get rid of it. But on the 64, as you can hear, that's just phenomenal. But so is the ARM SID. I keep saying that, but yeah, it does exactly what it says on the tin. Now, if you hook up several other data lines, and I'm not going to go into that bollocks now, you can then activate a second SID or the sound expander. You can activate them in the menu now, but it ain't going to do anything unless you hook up the data lines. And anyone that knows anything about ROM addressing will know why. Okay, so yeah, let's get this hooked back up, and I'm going to take some sound samples and switch between them in the video, and you can see what's going on. Okay, so let's type in the SYS 54333, and here we have the menu, and on here you've got the SID setup, SID second setup, and the sound expander. You can also choose the different ReSID engine as well. And here we've got the LED and MIDI interface, the PRG loading, and back to the normal menu. Excellent. So that's about it for the menu. Okay, so it's at this point I want to point out that the bezels come from the name C, like my previous video Gorf, and you might have noticed a little bit of glitching in the Scarabaeus track, and that wasn't due to a piss poor editing. It's because there seems to be a very minute difference in the length of the samples. I'm not sure why that is, but I couldn't line them up like the other tracks. Now I'm going to put it down to just a little problem with the capture card or whatever it is, but either way it sounds fantastic. So surprisingly enough, the Junker's got a 6581 R4, which is arguably lauded as the best version of the SID you can get. Who'd have thought it? It's in the fucking Junker. But the biggest striking difference between the SIDKick and the SID chip is the volume level. The SIDKick is much lower. That's not a bad thing. It's no bad thing at all. You can just turn your volume up a bit. But quality wise, the SIDKick does an absolutely fantastic job. I mean, it sounds brilliant. So yeah, really what this comes down to is, do you want some MIDI features? Do you want some fucking ridiculous disco lights? Do you want the ability to wedge some PRG files into your SID chip? If you do, and you're okay with a soldering iron, then yeah, I mean, they're definitely recommended, without a doubt. I love building shit. I'm building shit a lot of the time, so for me, I just had to give it a go and build one. And I don't recommend it for the 128, and I'm not going to hook up my 128 because I spent hours doing that before, trying to figure out what the hell was going wrong. But there's something causing these errant pops and clicks in the audio, and that really fucking pisses you off. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it for the 128. There was some shit going on there that I couldn't resolve, and I did speak to Phonetic about it, and we didn't get anywhere really. The new firmware came out, but it didn't really fix it. I tried it on a C128 flat and my home built C128 Neo, and both of them had the same problem. So I really can't be asked to get it out and pull it apart again. But for the 64, it's pretty bloody good. And if you want to do a bit of audio work, you know, with MIDI, then this is definitely recommended. Also, you can hook up two SIDs, and like a lot of people do, you hook up one to one channel, one to the other, but you change your type. Like you'll have a 8580 on the left and a 6581 on the right, and you get this weird kind of pseudo like stereo effect, which is pretty cool. I quite like it. But yeah, I weren't going to go into all that for this video. It's just to show you the quality of it, and the quality is bang on. What it comes down to is cost. You know, if you're one of these people that like to tinker and cost is not really the issue, then it's 100% go with the SIDKick. Give that some love. But if you just want something you can plug in and play, then it's got to be an ARM SID. Absolutely. They're just phenomenal. But I've got nothing negative to say about the SIDKick. It's a really good bit of kit. I just wish that you could use the SD card to store PRG files on, because that would be absolutely stonking. Yeah, so you might have noticed lots of weird character shit going on in the video. Yeah, that's because the VIC chip's a bit dicky, but it doesn't affect the SID at all. So I left it in there because that's the Junker machine, you know. If I'm going to blow the arsehole out of something, it's going to be that. Although now I know it's got a 6581 R4 in it, I might pull that fucker out and put something that I don't mind killing in, you know. But yeah, volume aside, this is fantastic. So I'd like to say a big hello out to Phonetic over and Emula4 over on Forum 64 for creating such a cool bit of kit. And as always, check out 8-bit Retro ReFix. And also, if you get time, have a look at the new website I'm building, CaptainCommodore.com. That's captain-commodore.com. Thanks for watching.